The vast interstellar communication network crackled with tension as the unprecedented message spread across hundreds of planetary systems. King Dalian, ruler of the Galactic Confederation, had just issued a challenge that would change everything humanity had ever known about their place in the universe. Una Park stood motionless in the military briefing room, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien monarch's proclamation. At 32 years old, she was the most decorated Special Forces veteran in Earth's history, though few outside the military knew her name. Her slim frame and quiet demeanor betrayed nothing of the warrior beneath. The challenge was simple yet shocking. King Dayan demanded a single representative from Earth to compete in a combat trial. The stakes were astronomical. Humanity's entire galactic recognition hung in the balance. Lows, and they would be classified as a primitive species, potentially subject to exploitation or complete dismissal by advanced civilizations. Commander Kim watched Yuma carefully. He had personally selected her from thousands of candidates. Her service record was impeccable, multiple covert missions, unprecedented survival rates, and a strategic mind that seemed to predict enemy movements before they happened. Where other soldiers saw obstacles, Yuma saw opportunities. "They're treating us like we're insignificant," she said quietly, her voice calm and controlled. The holographic display continued to replay King Dayan's challenge, a massive arena battle broadcast across multiple star systems, with every advanced civilization watching. The Galactic Confederation had a long history of determining species' worth through direct combat. Hundreds of civilizations have been evaluated this way, with many reduced to secondary status or completely ignored. Humanity had always been considered a wild card, technologically advancing but largely unknown. Yuna's training kicked into high gear. She began intense preparation that would push her body and mind to absolute limits. Simulations ran continuously, analyzing alien combat techniques, studying physiological weaknesses, and developing strategies that defied conventional warfare. Her team worked around the clock. Advanced neural interfaces mapped potential combat scenarios. Experimental equipment was developed specifically for her lightweight armor with adaptive capabilities, weapons that could transform based on battlefield conditions, and communication systems that could potentially disrupt alien technologies. The world watched. Media channels buzzed with speculation. Some believed it was humanity's moment of ultimate humiliation. Others saw it as a potential turning point. Military strategists argued about the potential outcomes, with most predicting a swift defeat. But Yuna remained focused. Her objective was crystal clear: represent Earth, survive, triumph. Her background was extraordinary, though few knew the details. Born to a family of military researchers, she had grown up understanding conflict at a fundamental level. Her parents' work in adaptive combat technologies had given her insights that went far beyond traditional military training. The final briefing was short and direct. Commander Kim outlined the basic parameters of the challenge: one fighter, one arena, unlimited combat possibilities, no preset rules beyond basic survival, winner takes all. "They expect us to fail," Commander Kim said, looking directly at Yuna. "They believe humanity is predictable, weak, controllable." A slight smile crossed Yuna's face. The aliens were about to learn a very important lesson about underestimating humans. As she prepared her equipment, the weight of an entire planet's hopes rested on her shoulders. This was more than a personal challenge. This was humanity's moment to prove their worth to the universe. The countdown to the battle had begun. Earth held its breath, waiting for a fighter who would either become their greatest hero or their most public failure. Yuna Park adjusted her combat gear, her hands steady, her mind clear. She was ready. The universe was about to meet humanity's finest warrior. The training facility hummed with an electric intensity that seemed to match Yuna's determination. Massive holographic displays surrounded her, projecting complex alien movement patterns from dozens of interstellar combat recordings. Each recording represented a potential threat, a puzzle she needed to solve. Her training was unlike anything traditional military programs had ever designed. Quantum simulators created impossible scenarios, pushing her physical and mental limits beyond human comprehension. She moved with a precision that seemed almost superhuman, adapting to each new challenge faster than any computer could predict. Commander Kim watched from a protected observation deck, his experienced eyes noting every minute detail of her preparation. Yuna wasn't just training. She was reinventing combat strategy. Where traditional soldiers followed protocols, she created new rules entirely. The alien combat recordings revealed fascinating insights. Each species moved differently, some with mechanical precision, others with fluid organic movements. Yuna studied them like a scientist, breaking down each movement into mathematical equations of motion and potential counter-strategies. Her physical conditioning was equally intense. Specialized gravity chambers simulated different planetary environments, forcing her body to adapt to extreme conditions. One moment she would be training in crushing gravitational pressure, the next in near-zero gravity environments that would break ordinary human fighters. Advanced neural interfaces connected directly to her nervous system, allowing her to process information at speeds that seemed impossible. Her brain became a living computer, analyzing threats and developing counter-strategies in milliseconds. The equipment designed for her was revolutionary. Adaptive nanofiber combat suit that could change properties instantaneously. Weapon systems that could reconfigure based on environmental conditions. Communication devices that could potentially disrupt alien technologies. Her past missions were legendary within military circles, though classified to the public. Zero mission failures wasn't just a statistic. It was a testament to her extraordinary capabilities. She had completed operations that most considered suicide missions, returning not just successfully, but with additional intelligence that reshaped military understanding. Psychological training was equally crucial. She learned alien communication patterns, studied their cultural nuances, and developed strategies that went beyond physical combat. Understanding an enemy meant more than knowing how they fought. It meant comprehending how they thought. Specialized AI systems ran constant scenario analyses. They would generate millions of potential combat situations, with Yuna working through each one. Her ability to adapt was her greatest weapon. Where others saw problems, she saw opportunities. The other military personnel watched her with a mix of respect and slight fear. She wasn't just a soldier. She was a living weapon system. Her movements were calculated, her mind constantly processing multiple layers of information simultaneously. Alien combat recordings revealed fascinating movement patterns. Some species relied on brute strength, others on technological advantages. Yuna was studying them like a predator understands its prey. Not with fear, but with clinical precision. Her physical training pushed human limitations. Strength conditioning, neural link combat simulations, and adaptive strategy development became her entire world. She wasn't just preparing for a battle. She was preparing to represent an entire planet's potential. Commander Kim occasionally spoke into her communication link, providing additional insights from classified intelligence reports. But Yuna needed little guidance. Her instincts were so sharp that she often anticipated instructions before they were given. The training facility was a marvel of human technology. Walls could transform into realistic combat environments. Gravitational fields could be manipulated. Temperature and atmospheric conditions could change instantaneously, creating the most unpredictable training scenarios possible. As days turned into weeks, Yuna's preparation became legendary within military circles. She wasn't just training to fight. She was training to redefine what combat meant. Her strategy wasn't about winning a single battle, but about proving humanity's potential to an entire universe watching and waiting. The challenge wasn't just a personal mission. It was humanity's moment to show that they were more than just another species in a vast, indifferent universe. And Yuna Park was going to make certain they understood that message, loud and clear. Her final preparations were about to begin. The universe was waiting. The massive arena suspended in deep space was unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Transparent walls allowed spectators from thousands of alien civilizations to watch every moment of the upcoming battle. Soft blue energy fields shimmered around the combat zone, creating a zero-gravity environment that would test each fighter's adaptability. Yuna entered the arena wearing a sleek black combat suit that seemed to absorb light. Her movements were calculated, each step deliberate and controlled. Thousands of alien eyes tracked her every motion, most expecting to witness humanity's ultimate humiliation. King Daehan towered at the center of the arena, his metallic armor a testament to centuries of unbroken victory. Intricate energy patterns danced across his armor, each insignia representing a civilization he had defeated. Centuries of conquests were etched into his very being. He looked down at Yuna with a mixture of contempt and amusement. The arena's announcement system crackled to life. A mechanical voice translated the official challenge into hundreds of alien languages. Combatants, prepare for single combat trial. Survival is the only objective. Alien spectators from hundreds of star systems leaned forward. Many had traveled incredible distances to witness what they believed would be a moment of swift human defeat. Betting systems across multiple planets were already calculating the odds, almost unanimously favoring King Daehan. Yuna's eyes never left her opponent. Where others saw an imposing figure, she saw a complex system of potential weaknesses. Her training had prepared her for this exact moment. A high-stakes battle where adaptation meant survival. King Daehan's first move came unexpectedly. Powerful energy tendrils erupted from his armor, designed to immobilize opponents instantly. But Yuna was already moving, her body twisting in ways that defied traditional combat expectations. She didn't just dodge. She transformed the attack into an opportunity. The alien audience gasped. This was not the performance they had anticipated. Her combat suit, developed through years of classified human research, began to react. Nanotechnological systems responded to each movement, creating micro-adaptations that made her movements unpredictable. Where King Daehan expected a linear response, Yuna introduced chaos. Interesting, King Daehan muttered, his universal translator converting his native language. His centuries of combat experience told him something was different about this human fighter. The zero-gravity environment became a dance of deadly precision. Energy weapons flashed. Defensive shields flickered. Each movement was calculated, each second a potential turning point. Yuna's strategy wasn't about overpowering her opponent. It was about understanding him, breaking down his combat systems, and revealing the fundamental weaknesses in his approach. She moved like water, fluid, adaptive, impossible to catch. Alien spectators began to shift uncomfortably. This was not the quick defeat they had expected. This was something entirely different. King Daehan's confidence began to crack. His attacks became more desperate, less calculated. Every move Yuna anticipated, every strategy he deployed seemed to fall apart before it could fully materialize. The arena's energy fields began to react strangely. Yuna's presence was actually changing the environmental dynamics, something no previous fighter had ever accomplished. Her very existence was challenging the established rules of combat. Thousands of light years away, humans watched with collective breath held. This was more than a battle. This was humanity's moment to prove their worth to a universe that had long ignored them. King Daehan would soon learn that underestimating humanity was the biggest mistake any civilization could make. The battle was just beginning. Retha combat became a symphony of unexpected motion. Where traditional warriors followed strict patterns, Yuna created her own language of movement. Her body twisted and transformed, breaking every known rule of engagement. Daehan's advanced combat systems began to fail. Each time he launched an attack, Yuna was already 3 movements ahead. Her martial arts training merged with an almost supernatural ability to predict and counter alien technological advantages. Quantum-linked sensors in her combat suit detected minute energy fluctuations in Daehan's armor. Where other fighters would see a solid defense, she saw intricate weaknesses. Her fingers moved with surgical precision, targeting specific technological junctures that would disable complex systems. The arena's environmental controls started to react strangely. Yuna's movements generated unexpected energy signatures that disrupted the zero-gravity zone. Spectators watched in growing confusion as traditional combat rules dissolved before their eyes. Daihen's combat implants began to malfunction. Targeting systems went offline. Communication networks collapsed. Each of his technological advantages became a liability, transformed by Yuna's unconventional approach. Psychological warfare became her most potent weapon. She didn't just fight. She understood. Every movement told a story. Every dodge revealed a strategy. Daihen found himself responding to her rhythm, dancing to a tune he couldn't comprehend. Her martial arts background wasn't just about physical technique. It was about understanding energy, flow, and the fundamental connections between movement and intention. She read Daihen's body language like an open book, anticipating attacks before they were even conceived. The alien spectators fell silent. What they witnessed defied everything they understood about combat. This wasn't just a fight. It was a complete deconstruction of warfare itself. Daihen's centuries of victory began to crumble. His imposing metallic armor, once a symbol of unbroken conquest, now seemed like an outdated shell. Each strike he attempted was elegantly redirected. Each technological advantage turned into a weakness. Yuna moved like water, fluid, adaptive, impossible to contain. Her combat suit absorbed and redirected energy, creating a dynamic defense that was more alive than any static shield. Where traditional warriors saw boundaries, she saw opportunities. The arena's energy fields began to fluctuate. Her presence was literally changing the environmental dynamics. Quantum sensors struggled to track her movements, recording data that would challenge scientific understanding for generations. Alien communication networks buzzed with confused transmissions. This wasn't the expected narrative of human defeat. This was something entirely unprecedented. Daihen realized, with growing horror, that he wasn't just losing a battle. He was witnessing the complete breakdown of everything he understood about warfare, about species hierarchy, about the very nature of combat itself. Each moment became a revelation. Yuna didn't just fight. She reimagined conflict itself. Her strategy was a living, breathing entity that adapted faster than any computer could predict. The arena grew so silent that even breathing seemed loud. Thousands of alien species watched, their collective consciousness absorbing a fundamental truth. Humanity was not what they had believed. Daihen's technological advantages became his greatest weakness. Every sophisticated system he possessed was systematically dismantled, not through brute force, but through an almost elegant deconstruction. Yuna represented something more than a fighter. She was a message, a living proof of human potential, of the power of adaptability, of the unexpected. Her very existence challenged established galactic understanding. The battle was transforming from a simple combat trial into something much larger. This was humanity's moment to rewrite the rules, to show an entire universe that potential cannot be measured by previous expectations. And Daihen was about to learn that lesson in the most profound way possible. The silence of the arena was deafening. Yuna stood perfectly still, her combat suit still generating subtle energy patterns that seemed to pulse with an almost living quality. King Daihen lay motionless, his once gleaming metallic armor now fractured and dim. Galactic communication networks exploded with unprecedented activity. Millions of alien civilizations processed what they had just witnessed. This was no ordinary battle. This was a fundamental shift in understanding. Quantum communication channels buzzed with rapid transmissions. Diplomatic centers across hundreds of star systems began emergency meetings. Humanity had just changed everything they knew about interstellar politics and species potential. Commander Kim watched the transmission from Earth's primary communication center. His face revealed no emotion, but his eyes held a profound sense of pride. Yuna had done more than win a battle. She had rewritten the rules of engagement. The aftermath was immediate and far-reaching. Alien diplomatic channels began reassessing humanity's status. Where they had once been considered a primitive species, they were now a potential threat. a civilization with unprecedented adaptive capabilities. Yuna's walkout was deliberate, each step calculated. No dramatic gestures, no unnecessary celebration. Her silence was more powerful than any speech. She had communicated everything through her performance. Pure, unfiltered human potential. Research facilities across Earth began analyzing every moment of the battle. Scientists, military strategists, and politicians realized this was more than a combat trial. This was proof of humanity's extraordinary capabilities. Betting systems across multiple star systems collapsed. Entire economic models that had predicted human weakness were suddenly invalidated. The universe had just received a masterclass in unexpected potential. Kane Daihen's defeat was more than personal. It represented the collapse of centuries of galactic hierarchy. The unbroken victory record that had defined his civilization was now shattered, replaced by a new understanding of human capability. Alien species began reviewing their historical records. How had they missed understanding humanity's potential? What other assumptions had they made that were fundamentally incorrect? The message was crystal clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Communication networks continued to explode with analysis, commentary, and shocked reactions. Diplomatic channels buzzed with emergency meetings. Research facilities began intensive studies of the battle recordings. Yuna represented something larger than herself. She was a symbol of human adaptability, of the power of unexpected potential. Her victory was not just a personal achievement. It was a statement about an entire species. Earth watched with collective pride. Millions of humans understood that something fundamental had changed. They were no longer just observers in the galactic community. They were active, powerful participants. The aftermath would continue for years. Diplomatic relationships would be rewritten. Military strategies would be reconstructed. Scientific understanding would be challenged. But in that moment, standing in the silent arena, Yuna needed no words. Her victory spoke volumes. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were ready to be recognized. The universe would never be the same again.